So giving can be a sensitive topic in the American church. I mean, how many of us have heard a comment like this about the church? They just want my money. Now, there are, of course, two things wrong with such a statement. Number one, it's not the church that wants your money, it's God, the maker and rightful owner of all things, the one who owns a cattle on 1,000 hills, let alone our checkbooks. Secondly, God never wants just this or that from His disciples. He commands us to love Him with all of our heart, soul, mind, and strength, and this necessarily includes our money. So Scripture actually brims with examples of generosity, including systematic giving to your church. For example, there's a number of scriptures, like Deuteronomy 15:10. It says, "You shall give to him freely." Or 2 Corinthians 9:7 says, "Give as he has decided in his heart to give, and be a cheerful giver." Or contribute to the needs of the saints, Romans 12:13. And then that verse in 1 Timothy talks about the elders who rule well are to be considered worthy of double honor, especially those who labor in preaching and teaching. That comes from 1 Timothy 5:17. So most Christians, they're familiar with the 10% tithing principle set forth in the Old Testament, but Paul in the New Testament actually doesn't give the church an exact number. He says that each Christian should decide for himself and his household what to give. So the more important realization that must, I think, first dawn on the believer is not giving is commanded, but giving is worship. If God's the owner of all things, like Psalm 24:1 says, and we are stewards of those things, according to Matthew 25, then giving back to Him is right, natural, and good. This is the heart posture we hope to cultivate within our members of Cedar Crest. Seeing God as the owner turns the duty of giving into a delight. It's for that reason every Sunday we take time in our service to reflect on God's goodness to us as the giver of all good things and perfect gifts during what we call our giving moment. And so we take time to reflect and examine ourselves to see if thankfulness is returning from our hearts and our hands back to God. And so as the Scripture says, we're striving to be cheerful givers who hold our possessions loosely before the Lord. For the Scripture says, what do we have that we did not receive? And I understand that that's mainly speaking about spiritual realities, but you can also apply that to everything that we have physically has been given to us from God. So our heart and our prayer is that God would help us to turn the duty of giving into a worshipful delight that will advance His glory and advance His kingdom throughout the earth.